anybody who's doing any work for anybody else should talk to you about getting a set of forms signed.
Of course.
Okay, we're going on air. Thank you very much. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Peter Salerno, and it's my pleasure to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure today to introduce to you Wade Besenki, is it?
Bekasi.
Bekasi.
Or Bekashi.
Bekashi. And how would you say? Now, you're Hungarian background, is that right?
Hungarian background, mum and dad, both Hungarian.
Excellent, excellent. So do you speak Hungarian at all?
Igen.
Igen, that's little.
Yeah,
little,
yes.
Look,
Only a little bit.
Only a little, yeah. We actually have a lot of Hungarians that listen to this show. We have a lot of Polish, and believe it or not, we have a lot of non-Italians listening to the show, because a lot of them like the music that we play on the other programs. I try and play a couple of songs as well. But the other thing is, the other day I was talking to somebody and they said, oh no, we listen to Italian radio because we've gone to Italian lessons and we've been listening to Italian. Obviously there's a lot of Hungarians who are married to Italians, or Italians married to Hungarians, and we've got Poles, married to Italians, or vice versa, and we've got Greeks that listen to Italian radio. So there are
everyone. Yeah.
There is quite a big variety, and I'm not too sure whether you're aware, but 30% or between 20 and 30% of South Australians are Italian or Italian background, so there's a fairly high population. And the like I say, the rest of them, like there's 30% which are Italian, married to Italian or associated with Italian, and the other 70% want to be Italian.
Of course, that's right. And that's why they want to listen to the radio.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of them do. A lot of them do because they like the different music. There's quite a few programs on the show, and some of them play the old sort of music, but there's a couple of guys on the program that play really happy, up-to-date Italian music. And so we got the pop music as well as the old classics and anywhere in between.
And I think we talked about that. Happy music is
hard
to find.
Yeah,
so if you're out there listening, there's some happy content, eh?
So Wade, what I'd like to do, I'll just explain to him briefly. Well, no, you explain to him briefly what it is you do, because I know that you run a couple of different businesses.
Correct.
So what is your main business? One of them is Mercantile CPA.
So we're a credit protection agency. So we protect creditors from bad debts, essentially, and everything in between. So that's our main source of business.
Right.
Also run a property management business. I run a podcasting session. Also some online content based around basic financial education.
Excellent. So basically, let's break it down and we'll talk about one at a time, because you do, like I said, it's interesting. On this program, I talk about business and happy business and being in business. And
it's not always happy.
Well, it's not always happy being in business, but we talk about how to make it happy, how can people be happy in what they're doing, and not wait until you succeed to be happy, but succeed is being happy while you're succeeding, but it's really interesting. Just before you came as well, I was talking to somebody about how hard it is to start a business, or how hard it is to be in business. And they say, oh, look, we've been in business, but we're struggling. So I do a lot of consulting with them, but I was talking to them and they were saying, like, here you go running 3-4 different businesses, and you're still a young man,
and I'm still happy,
and you're still happy.
I haven't lost all my hair.
That's right. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You see, because obviously once you know how to run a business, it's almost like saying, if I can do that, I can do another one. If I can do that one, I can do another one. As long as it's well managed and well run, then the others are.
And as long as, I also think I was talking about that to Ronnie on the way here, is that it needs to be parallel with what you do.
Yes.
So you don't want to step out and go, okay, all of a sudden I'm going to be a hairdresser when I currently run a credit management business. We need to make it a parallel income so that our time that's valuable, as you know, and makes us happy to do things we like, stick to being in a parallel business. So hence, with our business, we've got a complementary service which now is around the PPSR, so that's Personal Property Security Register, and that's about making companies secure from creditors not paying them. So protecting them before it becomes a bad debt.
Okay.
So that's the same conversation.
So we have a lot of people who are in business and listen to this program, and all our sponsors listen to this program. So all our sponsors are
all made up of businesses, in South Australia.
Yeah, South Australian, and not, like I said, not all of them are Italian. Sometimes, they've got the radio on in the business, they've got the radio on in the supermarkets, they've got radio on in their offices, with all different types of businesses.
Yes.
So when you talk about protection, I mean, the biggest problem I think in business is collecting the money that people owe you.
That's right. But if you're secured before you give out something on credit. So if you're giving somebody some credit terms of 7 days, 14 days, or 30 days, you're essentially giving them a free loan.
Yes.
Okay, in a small business sense. And if you haven't got the right paperwork or protection, you're then giving that to them on the basis on a handshake deal.
Yes.
In the old days, I'll pay you back.
And they would.
They would, that's right. But those days are gone, right?
Yes,
so,
unfortunately.
And also different industries have never had that protection for themselves. So now the government's brought out some legislation where if you've got the right terms and documents signed by your clients, which we provide those documents for our clients, then you can actually register your interest over your contract, your goods, your service, the table, some art, anything that's not a house or land.
Yes.
So anything. So the way I put it is, if it's not a house or a mortgage, you can protect that as long as you're giving that out on credit terms.
Okay. So let me understand that, because I mean I've spoken to you, so I'm talking more from a layperson's view.
We've had one conversation around it, but it takes quite a bit. This legislation's been out since 2012.
Yes.
And solicitors and accountants don't even understand it to
as
the
much
degree we do.
Yes.
And that's why we're going out there and educating people. So
that's good.
Just
that's
before
good.
I came to this meeting, Peter, I was with the IPA, so the Institute of Public Accountants, and we're going to be running workshops for them in 2019 to educate the accountants so they can go back and talk to their clients.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's good. The thing that I know about this business is like basically very basic, but I suppose I know a little bit more than some of the listeners. So I'm going to act like very basic.
Sure.
So
go for it.
You're saying that if somebody's doing some work for somebody or whatever, they can insure the fact that that guy will pay them the money.
You can do that as an insurance. That's a different than a registration and a protection. So this is basically putting that business from an unsecured creditor, so somebody that's just on a handshake deal as such, to somebody that says, okay, if that company goes into liquidation, then there's a preference of who is secured. So there's a list of people that, the bank's going to be paid first, etc. But if you've given, let's say $10,000 worth of some of your products and it's sitting on the shelf of that company and it's in liquidation, who has the right to that product, number one, and who has going to be paid for that product going into? So is a liquidator going to sell that off to pay the secured creditors? And if you're not a secured creditor, you're at the bottom of the list. So if you want to move up the list, then you want to make sure you've got a registration over that contract and those goods.
Excellent. So basically, if somebody, for example, does a work for a big company, let's say a construction company or something, and the construction company owes them money, without them going into liquidation or whatever, is that some way of claiming that money back? Is that the sort of insurance?
As long as, not in an insurance sense, let's just take that word out of it. A contract.
And you have a contract where it forces them to pay you back.
Correct.
Is that
as long as it's got the legal terms and conditions in there. And if they default over those payment days, there's a possibility of recovering those costs.
Okay. So I'm just giving a scenario because I'm trying to explain.
One that you might have come across before or something.
Well, I know lots of my friends who are in the building industry, for example, or friends that work for Santos or big companies. They do pipelines and do lots of other things, like the electrical contractors.
So if we're talking about for a large company like Santos, for example, and their large pipe contracts, then depending on the value of those contracts, if we're talking over the hundreds of thousands of dollars, then you go to and you pay an insurance for that. There's a product out there that we don't provide that. We can refer you to a company that does that. There's only a couple in Australia that do that, but that's possible as well. So then if they haven't paid. If
somebody works like for a builder and building somebody's house, and the guy says, all right, put in the wiring, put in this, do that, put the air conditioning in, and I'll pay you, send me the bill and I'll pay you. And then they send them the bill, and then what happens, he says, well, look, unless you connect it all up, I'm not going to pay you, and I can't sell the house until it's finished, and then you finish the house, and then when I sell it, you'll get your money. And a lot of times these guys don't get their money.
That's right. And so they need to be a secured creditor. So if I've got that correct,
so that's the sort of person that needs to see
subcontractor to a builder is a perfect person that would benefit from having these contracts secured and perfected as well.
Yeah, and would be individual contracts? I mean, if they start working,
they can become revolving, and that's where it gets a bit more detailed on what you actually have in there. Yep. So you can provide credit to a builder several times for different jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're doing work for a main builder and then slow in paying you or not paying you, is that when you can claim, or is that what you do, or is it
not
just
in
if they
regards
don't
to
pay?
the registration, but you can enforce your contract if they're outside of payment terms.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about how this mercantile CPA. What do you actually do? What's that all about?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So mercantile, and then CPA is the credit protection agency part of the business. So the business has been around quite some time in South Australia, and what we primarily do is recover overdue accounts for businesses. So late paying customers, bad paying customers. So when we're working with a credit manager of a organisation, we look to reduce the debtors that are outstanding. So they might have a client base of 1,000 customers.
Right.
There's always a percentage of those customers that are either slow paying, bad payers, avoiding or using our clients as a bank. And our job is to make sure that cash is in their bank.
All right. So if somebody has a contract that they do work for somebody and they're slow paying, you are the sort of people that will come in and send letters or...
So we have a contact management system that follows that up. But what makes us different is we have highly skilled commercial collection staff, so they know pretty much like a solicitor or a legal team.
Yes.
But we can do it at a lower cost rate, and we can do it more efficiently and quicker because we're doing it on a daily basis.
Okay, great. So we should give out your phone number. Give us your business cards and numbers, and we'll give out some numbers that we can give out.
Okay.
So on the bottom of the card here, we've got a 1300 number, and that's probably the best one to catch you on.
Yes.
So it's Mercantile CPA. It's 1300 018 410. So I'll give that number out again. It's 1300 018 410. Very slowly, it's collector at mercantilecpa.com.au, and you can look them up on their website, which is www.mercantilecollections.com. So give them a call, and if you've got outstanding debts or debtors that you need to chase up, that's exactly what
what we can do. That's what we can help with.
So Wade can help you with. And at this time of the year, I know for a fact that there's quite a lot of people owed a lot of money, and they're
using you as a bank.
Yeah,
so
basically.
You don't want to be used as a bank, and you want that cash to come in before Christmas. You might have left a little bit late, but we can have a look at that and see what the best way to recover that for you. We've got a great commercial team, as I mentioned, head up by David Lewis. It's been in the industry for over 15 years, and also we work closely with a legal team as well. Shane Sankey heads that up as well. So that's for the more complex type transactions.
So what's the say minimum amount that people are owed? That
it's generally we look at it more of a ledger basis. So
if somebody, like I know a particular builder, I was talking to him, and he says, look, I got about 150,000 owed to me. Now the thing is, some of it's like $1,000 from somebody, 2,000 from somebody else, 3,000 overhanging, or 500 that somebody hasn't paid.
So we have
some of them are 10 and 20,000 still owing. You know. Right. So what's the best way
to deal with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the companies we work with on a regular basis, they will load it into our system. So that means that we will then contact them. We'll evaluate each account as it comes in, and determining on if it's a $500 account, they may get a letter from us and a phone call and a negotiation with David, as I mentioned. Or if it's a $20,000 account, we may need to look at those documents, the credit application forms, the director's guarantees, and evaluate, does that business have the funds to pay? Are they using our client as a bank? So it's a case-by-case detailed assessment of which approach we take, and that's where we fit in to help.
Okay. Wade, with this debt collection agency, if somebody had a debt like $700 or $1,000, or some of them have got tens and thousands, what's the fee that you charge? How do you charge?
So I think I mentioned it before to the previous caller. It's a success-based charge. So there's commission and cost components to those terms and conditions, the applications that I talked about before.
Okay.
So as long as clients have those signed with the debtors or the people they've extended credit.
So what you're saying, just for the benefit of people listening, because a couple of the people would not understand, you're saying that they should have these contracts signed before they start.
That's right.
Any work.
The way I can put it in layman's terms is you go to Woolworths or Coles. They don't let you walk out the door with $1 worth of credit. So a company to be protected in a sense, obviously small to medium businesses and large businesses need to trade on credit, right? So there needs to be some formal agreement that's not just verbal, because verbal is a lot harder.
You have like a contract, for example, that says, look, I'm going to build your fence, I'm going to build your house, I'm going to renew your bathroom or whatever, and there's like $20,000, $30,000 to renew a bathroom and kitchen or whatever.
So you would want to have some writing and documentation.
So rather than just say, yep, no worries, I'll send you the bill, you pay me the money.
Of course, a lot of people just go on quotes.
I know.
So I get a lot of after the fact cases that come into our office, and they have provided an extended credit to, let's say, $20,000, and let's say it is for a bathroom renovation, and they will say, well, I got the quote accepted. But that's it.
That's all. They signed the quote. Look, I got their signature on the quote.
But it doesn't say anything about payment terms. Doesn't say anything about retrieval of costs. Doesn't say anything about.
So we need to educate builders. We need to educate most contractors.
Anyone, especially small subcontractors, they anyone extending credit that hasn't got
any business. So really, what you're in the business of helping them to set up that paperwork as well, isn't it?
So protecting them, building a financial fortress around their business. Let
me just say this: anybody out there that's working for themselves, that is doing any sort of work, should be ringing this number up and ask for Wade.
Correct.
All right, and the number is 1-300 018 410, and it's Mercantile CPA. Mercantile CPA. You can look them up under mercantilecpa.com or mercantilecollections.com. And Wade is the big boss, and he's here, and he's given me permission to say ring him up, ask for him personally. But of course there are different managers that will help you.
Of course, people that are doing it day in, day out in the office, those guys will give you the technical, detailed knowledge.
But the point is this, that from now on, I would suggest to anybody who's doing any work for anybody else, especially as a contractor, instead of just giving them a quote and get them to accept the quote by signing it or whatever, and a lot of people haven't even got them to sign the quotes.
That's right. So
I gave them a quote, and the guy said, go ahead with the job, and then when I asked for this much, they wouldn't pay me, or
even a simple email response saying, yes, I accept it, will help us in a non-payment. But also,
if you can get those forms signed,
that's even better protection.
So what I'm saying is, anybody who's working for themselves, anybody at all who's doing contract work for somebody else, should talk to you about getting a set of forms signed.
Of course. Get them created if they haven't got them.
Get you to create the forms for them, and then they can come to you every time or get them done. And then when they give a quote, not just sign the quote form, but sign this acceptance forms. Here's your
credit
terms
application
and
form called directors guarantees as well, depending on the large size of the account.
For 2009 or 2019, by Christmas 2019, there shouldn't be anybody saying, I can't have a very good Christmas because I haven't got enough money and everybody owes me thousands of dollars. So, if you're in the same boat next year, it's your own bloody fault. Now, Wade, we said we'd come back and talk about Moneyshorts. That's another one of your companies or businesses. And is that more to help the individual to what we call it, program educate them? So how does it work? Tell me.
So I'll just give you the backstory to it, Peter, which I might have touched on before, but for the audience is obviously gathers that I've been running a commercial collection agency, which also means that we do follow up individuals from large businesses, and that over time has showed me that there's a lot of people out there that don't understand money, number one, don't manage their money, don't look at their cash flow. They don't.
Talking about half the people in Adelaide at the moment.
That's right. It's about 65%.
Especially this time of the year when
Christmas is here and there's these
billions of dollars on presents.
That's right. So, I think I was talking about that to Ronnie on the way in here, that 1.6 million unwanted gifts are purchased this year, or last year in Australia. That pressure and demand for people that have to spend money on unwanted items for relatives that they don't really understand. So maybe reconsider that. It's a good time to check your finances. And so Moneyshorts started a while back, probably about 2 years ago. It's more a social media presence where I discuss the basic financial education. So if just one of my messages can get across to one of my audience to say, okay, hey, maybe I should reconsider how I am spending my money. A lot of people spend more time thinking about their grocery bills than they do about their finances for 6 months, a year, 2 years down the track.
So if people want to know more about Moneyshorts,
they can go hashtag Moneyshorts.
So just put hashtag Moneyshorts.
That's it.
On their computer. On their phone.
Talk to your phone these days. You just put it next to you and say, hey, Moneyshorts, and it will pop up with a fair bit of the video content that I've made. Right. There's some written content on there.
Good. That's what I want to know.
I go out and talk to students at the moment around that because I'd really like to get to.
So if any community groups or whatever,
TAFEs, colleges, the apprenticeship. People that are, as people are entering the workforce and receiving income for the first time, it's probably the best time to, work out what you're going to do for the future. I mean, you can go see your financial planner and your accountant, etc. But as just on a basic level, you need a day-to-day accounting of what you're doing. So you need to be able to look at your net worth as a sense, or what your daily income is and your expenses are. How much does it cost to get up in the morning for you as an individual? Most people wouldn't be able to answer that off the top of their head. They wouldn't know how much that's going to happen. So that impacts them in a week's time, 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time. So you need to be budgeting. You need to essentially look at yourself as if you are a business.
Yes. Well, I know that there's some of the things that I've listened to on the television or on the news and stuff like that, but then I do a lot of consulting like that, and people send me stuff, like I read a lot of little things that people send me, and it's funny, like somebody said, this businessman, if he drops a pen, which is $1,000 pen, he just leaves it there and walks off, and they go, what? It's $1,000 pen. He said, but by the time he turns around to pick the pen up and that, he's earned 3 times that amount going cling in his bank. So he has to move him forward to go to the meeting, and it's more important to him to not hold the meeting up than to and people don't realise. I remember years and years ago I learnt this lesson. How much does a cup of coffee cost? This is a good one for you.
Keep going.
This is how much does a cup of coffee cost? The fact is that a cup of coffee costs a lot more than you realise, because you might take a salesman out for a cup of coffee, but the
introduction meeting,
a meeting, whatever. But the coffee costs $3-4, but the meeting itself runs for half an hour. It costs you a lot of money.
Oh, that's right. Have you worked out your hourly rate? Do you know what that is? What other things are you neglecting?
And what people realise, that if you've got a meeting to go to and you've got 5 or 6 people there, you calculate them at $50 an hour. That's already $500 there, sitting there waiting for you.
That's right.
To arrive, or waiting for somebody to arrive, or.
So I suppose on that point is that most people, unless they've run a business before, or are running a business, they don't calculate every component that salesperson that are there, the managers that are there, what wages that's costing. So if you bring that back to a personal level, how are you doing that with your family, your budget, the people that you're interacting with, and where you're spending your time?
Excellent. So Moneyshorts helps you with that, right?
Yeah, that's right. So just key messages on a daily, weekly basis.
Hashtag Moneyshorts, and they can pick that up.
They can tune in. I get a lot of private messages. I have a lot of one-on-one conversations around how that might help them, and then how they can actually create income, create parallel income, and put it into their situation. So they're not just worrying about expenses and cutting things back. I like to talk about how you can get that money in the future.
Fantastic. I think that's very, very worthwhile. So you've got this thing here from the PPS.
So it's from the government. They brought out legislation in 2012. It's been developing and changing over time. Recently revived in 2016. But it asks, are you in business? Are you wholesaling, selling on terms, hiring, renting or leasing? Are you in building or construction? agriculture, farming, buying, selling, are you giving out contracts? So that's about creating the registration over the interest of your contract or your goods.
Okay.
So this document here goes through it, but our sessions that we run through our business, you can come and learn a detailed version. I'll just pass that to you there.
Thank you. So this is a book that's available from a government...
so you can go to the website as well. So the Australian Financial
So it's called the Personal Property Security Register.
Yeah.
And you can ask for the Australian government, the Australian Financial Services Authority, to go on their website. I'm sure you can find it. And all this stuff in this book is there. You know, do you, whatever, and why do I need to do this? And all these other questions, a whole lot of contents here about what to do and how best to do it. So that's great. So, do you give these books out, or is it best for them to go and get one from?
We are probably one of the main distributors in South Australia for that book. So I was just up at the head office there.
Okay.
So you can get them through your accountant, but they probably don't have too many because we specialise in teaching people about the PPSR and registrations and contracts. So probably best to go to the website, but if you come to one of our workshops, you will be able to see. We'll probably give you one of those.
Okay.
Yes.
So how often do you do workshops?
We're running one tomorrow.
Yeah.
We are running probably every 2 months.
Every 2 months?
Yeah. But also associations are running. We're a major sponsor of the Master Builders Association, so we've got another workshop coming up next month. I don't have the exact details, but I can send them to you if anyone on air or calls in afterwards wants to know the details.
We get a lot of calls here. Surprisingly, even the previous announcer said we get a lot of calls off air, you know, or after we've been on, because somebody said, "Oh yeah, I've been meaning to ask you that."
Yeah, that's right. And then they get around to getting on the phone.
We get calls three weeks later. Somebody rang me up, you know, and like the lady that today, she said she'd been listening to my program and she liked what I said 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, or the guest that I had then, you know. I'm curious to ask you, how old were you when you started your first business?
Yeah, so I probably was an entrepreneur for quite some time, looking back. But my first commercial business was in 1999. Right. So I was 18 years old at the time. And
wow, that's good.
So it started off where I developed some sales skills, and it was at the time of the deregulation of the telecommunications industry, and so there was a monopoly at that stage. You probably Telecom, or you know, and then Telstra, and then Optus came out, and a couple of other players, and we joined in with a carrier called Primus Telecom, and we went around and knocked on doors and advised customers face to face. This is before internet and before SMS and all that. We had to interact with them face to face. I know it's still a common practice.
That's what they call social media, face to face.
It was very social then. You either got to talk to the customer or not, and
you made money or not.
That's right. So I was quite good at that in SA, and then there was a chance to open up another division of that business in Western Australia. So I went over with the assistant manager and another colleague. We set up from scratch. So the first day over in WA, we were in the backpackers. We found some accommodation, like commercial accommodation. We even slept on the floor of that accommodation until we found a house that was suitable. Set our business up, pretty much worked 24/7, recruited up to about 15, 16 sales staff as well. Turned that into quite a decent business where we were turning over new customers on a regular basis, running sales training in the morning, getting out in the field in the afternoons, and then brought that business back to SA after about a year. Got a little bit homesick, so I thought I'd come back, you know, missing my mates that were either on the gap year or at uni, right, while I'm pushing out there to create a business. Set that up in Curry Street, got a couple other business partners, but within about 3 to 4 months of that business, that was close to the time when only probably 1 in 15 people had a mobile phone. So, but we could see that trend growing. So we were getting into the mobile phone market, but the carriers like the Nokias and that, you had to buy those mobile phones from them first, hold that stock, and then sell it, and then give it to your customer. So back then, that was a big outlay, and I could just see that the orders that those companies wanted us to do at the time was outside of my personal capacity and also my business partners at the time, but they continued to do it. I decided to leave that business and pull out, They unfortunately went under within about 6 months, but I could see the writing on the wall.
Yep.
Great idea. If I had persevered, and probably if I had the knowledge that I had now back then, I would have been able to make it happen. But that's because of the people you surround yourself with over time.
That's the question I was going to ask now. It's funny, you came back to exactly what I was going to ask. The mentors, the coaches and that sort of thing. Who was your coach? Who was your mentor? Who encouraged you to go into business at 18? Or before that,
Well, probably the people that I looked up to from even in a fake world scenario of what I watched on TV.
Yes.
I could always see the business people in the movies and stuff. I was like, okay, I want to be partly like them. I mean, there's always a good and bad part to movies, but
that's
you
where
can see where
come from.
That's right. And then books that I read, probably the best book that I recommend to everyone, even revisiting how they're looking at their finances and investments and that type of stuff, is Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay.
The Cash Flow Quadrant. Favorite book. So I was a big advocate of that.
Oh, good on you.
Or learner of that. He's probably my original mentor.
I've always said the best way to do anything, the best way to find out something is to ask somebody who knows, and I know Wade will be able to help you with anything to do with that. Moneyshorts, hashtag Moneyshorts, and you'll be able to hear him and see him. He's quite a handsome young man, and all the women will be chasing you. Wade, it's been a pleasure having you here. It's been really, really good. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
No, it's been
Appreciate
great.
it.